Smoothies made with organic pumpkin are back at Smoothie King. And they are the best. Not just because they're delicious. Not just because with 5 options, it's easy to find a favorite, like the new Keto Champ Pumpkin. And not just because they're packed with at least 13 grams of protein each. They're just the best. Order online or through the app for pickup or delivery. Official smoothie of the Dallas Cowboys. Smoothie King. Rule the day.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, your host, Kimberly Bermel Bonati, and co-host Ethan Euchre and Jeff Wagstaff.
Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati alongside my friends Ethan Euchre, Jeff Wagstaff, and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati. As long-term ramifications of being infected with COVID-19 are continuing to be discovered, and the National Institutes of Health begins research on thousands of long-haul patients, a new book offers some early insight into long COVID and ways for people who are experiencing post-COVID effects to be able to move forward and look ahead. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Joseph Trunzo, co-author of Long-Haul COVID, a survivor's guide. Thank you for joining us, Doctor.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Now, can you tell us, can you really define the term long-haul COVID and what some of those symptoms are that seem to really linger?
So I don't know that anybody can really define the term long-haul COVID just yet. They're still debating back and forth what exactly they're going to call it.
Yes.
But currently people are thinking that long-haul COVID is any symptom that presents or continues to present after active infection. So could be a couple of weeks, could be a couple of months. We've seen people who got infected, way back early on in the beginning of COVID who still have lingering symptoms.
Mm-hmm. And what is like the general consensus, if any? I mean, do they have any idea why certain people end up becoming these long haul COVID sufferers?
I think that's a big part of what the NIH study is going to look at. Mm-hmm. We do know that about a little over 1 in 3 people who get a COVID infection, regardless of severity, may experience some kind of longer-term symptom, mm-hmm. whether it's persistent loss of taste or smell, brain fog, fatigue, any of those sorts of things. Yeah. So we're very much in the process of trying to figure all that stuff out.
Dr. Trunzo, do you see any differences in patients who are vaccinated and those who are not vaccinated concerning long haul?
Again, data are still out, so we don't really know that yet. I think there's a mix of people who have been vaccinated, who haven't been vaccinated, who are experiencing longer term symptoms.
And so what you're saying is they really don't know how long these symptoms are lasting. That's what we're really waiting on the data?
Like I said, I think that's a big part of what this recent NIH study is all about, because we just don't know. The virus hasn't been around long enough. We don't have enough people. We haven't had the money hasn't been diverted to studying it until this recent NIH studies. There are a lot of unanswered questions. We just know that people are suffering with longer term symptoms.
But what are those long-term symptoms? For example, usually they affect neurological certain areas. They affect the pregnancy in areas. They affect individuals that they have memory loss. They create problems associated with tiredness and things like that. The simple symptoms, the headaches and the tiredness and the pain around the area of the injection and things like that, they disappear. The areas that they don't disappear is how long they are in problems with anaphylaxis, how long, or what is the problem associated with abortions and stillbirth and all this. And what is the situation with patients that they have a lack of smell, lack of taste, and sometimes eye problems. Sometimes they get practically without total blindness. Work on the hearing, and then you become not deaf, but with ringing in your ear and tinnitus and things like that.
So I want to be careful here because I'm not a medical doctor. So your questions are kind of well above my pay grade. I'm a clinical psychologist, And the book is really focused on helping people to cope with the symptoms that they do have. I do not have the answers to any of the questions that you just asked. I don't know if anybody does.
Yeah.
My primary goal and the goal of the book is to help people who are suffering from long-haul COVID symptoms to find ways to manage those, to cope with them, and to try to live the best life they can, even though they might be suffering from a variety of different symptoms.
And what are some of those ways to do just that?
So the book is basically a step-by-step guide in using a behavioral therapy approach called acceptance and commitment therapy.
Okay.
That has been well documented in helping people with a number of other chronic illnesses.
Yes.
So the reason we wrote the book is because we wanted to get this information out there about how people can engage with their life and continue to live well, even if they have symptoms that are plaguing them for quite some time.
Okay. What is part of that? Is part of that like taking vitamins, supplements, and kind of trying to boost the immune system?
Well, what I would say is, again, because I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not going to tell people to take supplements or vitamins.
Sure.
But it's a behavioral approach that is designed specifically towards making sure you're not just kind of standing still and waiting until you get better. It's about engaging with your health, engaging with your life, doing the things that you need to do to the degree that you can so that you're moving forward, even though you're not feeling really well.
I'm curious, the ACT therapy, the acceptance and commitment therapy, it sounds very, very intriguing. Are there other applications where this can help folks recover from a variety of issues?
So ACT is a therapeutic approach that's been around for a while. It's been, it's at its core, it's designed to help people who are suffering. So whether it's depression, anxiety, chronic medical illness, chronic mental health issues, or just feeling isolated or separated from people that you care about because of the pandemic, ACT is an approach that can be really helpful. That's why we wrote the book.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Trunzo, co-author of Long Haul COVID, A Survivor's Guide. Thank you for sharing, some insight into what people can do to just move on with their lives and stop, I guess, sitting back and allowing these long haul effects to inhibit them.
Exactly.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Take great care. Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about what's new in American medicine today.
Lone Star Gun Show is coming back to town November 6th through the 7th at the Will Rogers Center in Fort Worth. It's bigger and better than ever with more guns, ammo, knives, and gear. Buy, sell, trade, or browse. Go to LoneStarGunshows.com for more info.